But Maggie, they're all burnt out or overrun, which again leaves the question of why Herschel's farm isn't. And it seems to be this magic river that's made of quicksand. I
Yeah,
don't know how
Yeah,
that
that's my
prevents it
next
going the
point.
other
right.
direction.
Number is Herschel's farm is so special, and Rick is so adamant about wanting to stay there. I think he wants to stay even after they find Sophia, and
Hmm.
Carl says the farm could be a home to her, and I'm like, why? And Rick says to Herschel, they've been shielded from what's happening. And I'm like, why though? That was always a criticism. And then they go to corral these Zeds and they're stuck in the mud. And I'm like, is that why? Because they're all getting stuck in the mud. But wouldn't there be a whole bunch more stuck in the mud if that was the only thing? Like,
Mm.
and I think the idea is that it's surrounded by water. It's never really clear, I don't think, because when all the zombies attack at the end of the season, I think it's because the ground is frozen, so they don't get stuck in the mud. I think they said something like that.
But is it also just
like that.
symbolic? Like Lauren in Lord of the Rings. Like it's held together by magic, and there's magic that's keeping things out, and it's a special place, not a regular.
But
place.
this is a grounded
but I know
show.
there's no magic. All right.
Yeah, I
so
felt.
then my headcanon is that there's a mountain on one side that's blocking them and fences, and then there's a river on the other side that can't be crossed.
So this season is a prototype
right, it's
for
bullshit.
every late Fear the Walking Dead story. Some place that's special for some indiscernible reason, but it's all important and we have to stay here. Think Strand's Tower or Padre or a couple other things. And Rick is all wrong about it because the farm isn't as shielded as he thinks, but at least for this moment, for whatever vague reason, like I just feel like it would have been better if they could have come up with a more solid and clearly articulated explanation for why this happens and shown it more satisfyingly.
But at least
maybe.
they didn't. At least they didn't blow it off with a line. Like I've been watching these videos, and it just like there's just a line of exposition, but they actually showed it and showed
a little bit
how it could work, and there was some effort put in, whether it was believable or not. You're like, okay, at least they've addressed it, and they didn't just say, well, we're just in this area that doesn't have a lot of traffic, But there's there's certain physical things about this property.
I mean, partly I'm like, as I'm watching the first time, I like zombies. I want more zombies.
Yeah.
Bring them in. Oh, for some reason, because of this mud, they're not here. Well, it's
a zombie show.
I didn't like anything about it. And then, but more on your side, Jonathan, I was glad that Maggie said the other farms were burned out or filled with walkers, because that was something Fear would never do. Why do we have to go to Strand's Tower? There's a lot of other towers. I mean, just whether it's believable or not, you could say, oh, they're all burned out and full of walkers, something.
Yeah, exactly. Address it, because otherwise it's just because the plot demands it. This farm doesn't have any walkers because the plot demands it. And then okay, and then we just do some throwaway line.
It's a weak point. To what degree is debatable, but even that's a weak point, I guess. It's debatable. But in my view, it's a weak point of the season.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jonathan?
No.
I mean, why don't we get to the? I was kind of hoping you would.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I do have. I may have prepared a recap, Jason.
Yeah.
Wait.
Of the Sophia.
I was
scene.
holding off. I was.
Well, I'm a guest on the big shows, right? But things really kick off after days of bubbling tension when they bring back the walkers from the river, and Shane has had enough at this point. And so he's bringing the neighbors down, and you're right, Rick does just look humiliated. And then so Shane just pulls his gun, and he's like, can a living, breathing person do this? 3 rounds in the chest. And why is she still coming? 3 more rounds. And then the walker keeps coming, and he's like, that is enough. And then boom, the shot to the head, and time just stops, and everything slows down, and we pan across the crowd, and he's like, it ain't like it was before. And at this point, I'm thinking, is this war or is it survival? You know, are we just doing what we can to leave, or are we at war with the zombies? Are we at to take them out to give us peace, or do we just try to stay on the run and stay one step ahead of them? And then there's chaos as Shane opens the barn, and then people, are wailing, and reality is hitting everyone like a truck. And then Rick screaming to Herschel, take it. And he's like, don't do it, brother. And he can't interact. And then, but he does. And then the walkers come out, and they're determined, And this is what I love about these early episodes is the walkers are determined and hungry and want to attack you. And they're faster than they are in later episodes. And they're looking at you, and you're like, I want to eat you, and they're coming after them. But our crew's determined as well. And Shane, Andrea, and T-Dog and Glenn all form a line and then get down to business. And then we have some glorious Walking Dead scenes. And, there's such great takedowns. And Andrea goes into slow-mo focus mode again and becomes the perfect shot. There's shotgun blasts to the face of these, and there's just all these walkers on the floor, and then we pull back and we see the grim regret of the aftermath.
Oh, it's brutal.
All them, and then we hear the slight growling, and then there's a shot from the inside of the barn, and like once, just when you think it was all over. We get that shot from inside that I was talking about before, where the barn doors are black in silhouette, taking up most of the frame, and you have someone looking at it, and I'm like going, what happening? And then Shane's peering back, and he's like going, what? And then it pans from the shoes up, and we see the frail body, the clothes falling off. And as she comes out, she's kind of flinching in the sunlight. And I remember, and I said it again this time, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh my God, it's Sophia. I couldn't believe it was happening. And I'd been lulled into this false sense of security that she was just gone and we wouldn't have to deal with the loss of this child. But Carol runs over and she's stopped by Daryl. Even Herschel's horrified. And Rick has this look in his face of he's so drained by it, but he knows what he has to do. And with guilt and regret etched on his face, he's staring into Sophia, and she's looking back with these vacant, dead eyes. And everyone's broken now. And then the music, which had this eerie kind of supernatural feel to it, almost like an early Spielberg film, was like when she's coming out, but then the music starts to swell, and Rick is determined to end this horror, and so he strides forward, and there's that great shot in from the side as Sophia's stumbling towards him and closer, and then he takes the shot, and she just goes down, and then we see this close up of Rick as he drops the gun to his side, and the camera pulls back from them, and it reveals the grief of everyone gathered in it, and then the camera pulls up into the sky to rise as if it's finally Sophia's soul has been released. And then cut to black. It was such an amazing moment.
I can't something that really struck me when we was rewatching this is that Herschel has a chance to kind of stop it when Rick is saying, take the bloody zombie and I will stop Shane. But the way Scott Wilson plays it as just paralyzed, like he is overcome. It is a horror show. He is watching a massacre. Oh, it's powerful. And Maggie, oh my God, all of them. It's just, and I didn't quite.
It's powerful, isn't it? It's just so powerful.
It's so powerful. And they focus in on this zombie with curly hair, like a kind of late middle-aged woman, and I'm like, oh, that's his flipping wife, isn't it? And I think that comes back in the next episode with Beth. But just horrific, absolutely horrific. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking, what if because we haven't really seen Rick have to put down a zombie version of anyone that he very much cared about, you know?
No.
What if it was zombie Lori in there or something, you know? Maybe.
And he never gets that with Lori, never gets that closure.
Yeah, never. I was trying to look like I can't think of anyone. Daryl had to kill zombie Merle. Michonne killed zombie Herschel Head. But she
that
wasn't really
it
that
was only
integrated.
like a quarter of his body.
Yeah. So I feel like that's something they should have done a little bit more in the show, as horrible as it is. That's the thing about zombies that's so interesting, is someone that you cared about suddenly wants to eat you and you have to figure out what to do about it, you know? But
I think in the later seasons they stopped killing the main people after they lost their half their audience.
Right. They had to be careful.
Yeah.
Lucy, do you remember when you first watched this, how you felt when Sophia
really
came
good
out?
question. I don't think I was spoiled, which is unusual for me. This was back in the pre spoiler days. Just really, I was all in by this point. I was like, yes, I just love this show so much. And that moment was just an absolute stunner. But I remember I think for me, the big grab of the season actually comes more towards the end with Rick and Shane. I feel like that's what we're building up to. But this was just, I'd never seen anything like it. It was just incredible. I don't think at the time I appreciated how horrific it was in terms of the Green family. I think I only remember Sophia, but when I rewatched, I'm just really struck by what happened to Herschel and Maggie and Patricia and Beth and I guess Jimmy the idiot who falls over in the mud. Poor Jimmy, he's just trying to get by. Did you kill Jimmy, Jason? No,
I didn't. Jimmy. I heard him being killed.
Who did you bite loud. One of them? Or are you
because apparently that actor, he had expressed in some interview that his greatest fear was being eaten alive. So he was really drawing on that in that scene. And he was just going,
what episode are you in again? So I look out for it coming up.
13, the finale.
Okay.
Oh, we'll be doing a deep dive into Jason's scenes.
I was chewing on Patricia's leg for a while there, but I don't think I killed her. Yeah.
Oh my God, my leg. Sorry. I love her. I think she's great.
But just the overwhelming grief on everyone's face and the horror and the shame that they all felt, you know, and
even Shane.
Really, even especially Shane.
Yeah.
You know, he finally, reclaimed some of his humanity at that moment. You know, when it is someone they know, even though he dismissed her completely, and he's like, oh, you know, we've lost her, let's go. Even Shane in this moment recognizes his humanity and how awful this is. And going back to Glenn saying, you know, I just they weren't I didn't think they were dangerous. You know, you stop thinking them as former people and as zombies, and then I think for every character again is the horror of the situation, that these are people that had lives and meant things to other people, and people, you know, it's just the tragedy of it all came down on everyone. And then I was hooked, and I'm just like, oh, this is such a great show.
Oh, so good.
And it's kind of interesting that Shane always gives Rick shit about not being willing to do what needs to be done, but then Rick ends up being the one to shoot her at the end.
He has to do it, and he does what no one else can bring themselves to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's like, I shoot little girls all the time. So
little girl. I asked Peter what he thought about that. I was like, why does Rick shoot him? Why does nobody else do it? And Peter's like, I think the rest of the group, I think that's Rick being a leader. Like, they don't know what to do, and I think Rick is giving permission. Like, it has to be Rick.
It has to be.
But I think I'm more of the reading that it's about. I keep thinking that line in Lord of the Rings, or like a chance for Faramir of Gondor to show his quality. But I think it is about Rick showing his quality. Rick showing his.
It is. Yeah. that he can make the hard decision.
Yes, yeah. I've thought that this whole time, and the only new thought I had this time, looking into it deeply, is that he also needs to show that this rule or this idea that the zombies aren't people anymore applies even when it's one of our own. Because if he couldn't do that, then it would have been so hypocritical to try and persuade Herschel of that in the first place. You need to let us kill your zombie wife and son, but then when one of ours comes out, we can't do it too. That won't fly. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. And he does become the benevolent king, although he looks after his people. He will still make the hard decisions and ban people from the group, kill people if necessary. That he will now. They know as a group that he can make the hard decisions, and he reasserts himself as leader and ends Shane's coup.
Right
at that moment.
Right. If he hadn't done that,
I'd never thought of about that.
Me neither.
Doing a
Shane,
coup,
it was a coup of his own, of not just Herschel, but his own group. And then Rick ended that with that one last act there.
It's interesting.
Take charge.
Yeah.
So Dale says on the highway that he wants to avoid some of the, what was it he calls it? The big conversations about the needs of the many versus the needs of the few for as long as possible. And there's this sense in which Dale is kind of like the Cassandra of the group and sees what's coming, or just has a feeling of what's going to happen before that Cassandra in Greek mythology could see the future, but nobody would believe her, and that was her curse. And you see that scene with Andrea and Dale, where Andrea, I don't know, Andrea's quite smug in this episode. I can't quite put my finger on it, but she's like, Shane wants to watch him by the barn. And Dale is pissed off.
She's got a gun.
Yeah, she's like, I got a gun now. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think, part of the reason why people don't like Andrea is actually at times how Laurie Holden plays it. The look she gets on her face.
Smug. And but there's a moment in that scene where she says, Shane thinks we need to watch, and Dale's like, does Rick think that? And Andrea knows what he's asking. He's basically saying, Shane's not in charge here. And Andrea's like, why wouldn't he? And I'm like, oh. And then I think at that point, that's when Dale is like, I gotta hide these guns because shit's about to go down.
Yeah, that's what he was doing, huh?
It's interesting. It's really, I don't know. There is wisdom with Dale. I think I see him as more of a meddler this time round, but there is also wisdom there.
It's not black and white for me. There's things about him I like and things I feel critical of, like with most of the characters.
He's always been referred to as the moral compass of the group, and a group needs a moral, and he was the one now, and Herschel becomes it later. But he's the moral compass, but the gang doesn't want a moral compass. They want to make decisions that moral compass applied in the pre-apocalypse world, but maybe not so much now. And
I would say, Glenn goes to him for advice. I see I only see resistance from Shane and Andrea, really.
Yeah. But then that is the redefining of what the morality is. Daryl's idea of morality was universal, but now
Dale.
That is the Dale. Sorry, Dale. Then now that is the question of the
even
series.
Dale seems to abdicate that. Okay, I'll just die. Shane, it's your world now. But that's it. Some people are suited to it, and that's what I loved about. What's his name? In the red hair, moustache, muscles.
Abraham.
In the later Abraham. So I loved about Abraham in the later episodes, how he thrived in the ZA, and he's just like, finally, all my skills that I have, I can just use everywhere. And he's just, he loved taking out the zombies and took counts of it, and it was such a kind of like, this is my kind of world,
Yeah, but he could be a good, loyal friend too. Yeah, look out for people.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Shall we move on to notes?
Yep. That's good. Stray observations and things. that moment where Herschel comes to ask Rick to help, and Rick's like a kid being like, "Oh, Herschel, the only reason we have our guns is because we're about to go out on a thing," and it's that kind of childish obedience quality that I think Shane really, it's like a red flag, or a red rag to a bull when Shane sort of sees that with him guiding the Zed along. Something none of us have mentioned. This is a Scott Gimple episode. I think it's his first writing credit.
Is it?
It doesn't feel like a Gimple episode, but maybe it feels like Gimple at his best episode. With between this and last week's Angela Kang episode, you can see why they both got a shot at showrunner, I think. Both episodes are done very well. Andrea loves or doesn't love. Andrea's got the horn for Shane because he's not a victim, which is a fair point. She's kind of caught in this position of wanting to end her life, but also wanting to survive and thrive. And I kind of empathized with that. I empathized with the idea of being drawn to somebody who didn't let the tragedy define him.
Yeah, but as long as you're not being reactionary or just going to such an extreme that you steamroll over everyone else. But she didn't care about that. Gimple also wrote Save the Last One, episode 3, where Shane shaves his head and shoots Otis. So
it's not two of
the best episodes of the season.
This season.
And that really got me, that one, and threw me the structure of the episode was so great. And as you mentioned on the episode, you're wondering what happened, and that the mystery of what happened and how it revealed in that episode was brilliant, I thought.
The thing is, as a showrunner, you're more you have the final say in the shaping of the story, the arc of the story, or even giving direction of where you want the story to go in the first place. And then all the writers sit together and break out beat by beat what's going to happen, and then each writer gets assigned the episode to actually write what you've all already agreed on is going to be the story. So maybe Gimple thrives best when he's the one who's fleshing out the vision that several people have come to together, and someone else has given the main direction. Although I would still say that seasons 4 and 5 and 6 have had some where Gimple was showrunner, have had some very good stuff in it too,
Definitely.
Okay, Jonathan, what do you got?
Like, I thought it was really interesting. There was a moment when you pointed out when Shane's peering through the crack in the barn door, and then we get that jump scare, but his training kicks in and he immediately goes for his gun that's not there. And I thought that was a really great illustration of how binary Shane is. It's on or off, and he can't help to react to things because of all the training he has had, and the way things are from him being a policeman, and that sort of training and how to deal with people is so ingrained in him. It's how he deals with the world now, and I thought that was an interesting moment. I think that Daryl's biceps should get a separate credit in the show. They're being focused on. Yeah,
Jennifer McGinley listening, I bet she agrees.
But it's also how I've found it interesting how eye candy these early seasons are with some of the boys. I think, especially with Shane and Daryl. I didn't think that was really a thing, but it is.
Yeah. Thinking about Shane's training, I had been thinking about Rick too, because a lot of his character is about him wanting to protect and needing to go off and try to save Merle, and just wanting to lead so that he can be the one to set the direction and be the protector for the most part, keep everyone safe. And I was thinking, man, a guy like that who's so compelled to protect, it makes sense that he wanted to be a police officer. And I think that's why, he wanted to protect, and he took that job. So, and then, as I said, over time, his circle of care kind of shrank at times. The people he wanted to protect and the people he didn't care about so much. But then maybe expanded.
I had another thought about how the walkers are treated in this, as they're still dangerous and they are still a part of the story, and it's still an obstacle to overcome. Rather than later in the series, it feels like they're an annoyance. I wish that it was an apocalypse, but not in a zombie apocalypse. So we didn't have to deal with fighting zombies all the time, and rather finding a clever way to overcome the obstacle, and how dangerous they still are. They're just it's just seen as not
pests.
Such a as pests. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think was to the detriment of the show.
Mm-hmm. There are exceptions, though, especially when Angela Kang came
definitely
in.
Exceptions.
Yeah. Like, I always think of that scene with Rosita on the front doorstep in the rainstorm. I mean, maybe they're still like kind of pests, but it's badass, you know?
Well, I'm really looking forward to, as we go on with the rewatch, is re-looking at the later seasons, because at the end, I feel like, come on, let's get through it. But I'm hoping that when we get to, especially to the Whisperers, that I look back on more fondly now, that section, and that was dangerous. Yeah. And I think that was really, really interesting. And, that's, but it there has been a turning a level of zombies, they become very low level zombies in the end.
Agree.
But
and I forgot how different they were early on. Like you said, they seem more aggressive and just more human and cooler looking in a lot of ways. Yeah, and we actually see some that weren't all in the group of people wearing long sleeve T-shirts. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I always thought a lot of them would just be naked, but they on cable TV.
Some people must have died on the toilet.
Yeah,
just saying,
or just caught their pants on a hook or something.
They've got their pants down, so they're forever kind of walking a few steps and falling over, having to get up again.
When I first got to set to be a zombie, they took me to wardrobe, and there was a room with just this long racks of shirts and pants, and all the shirts were long sleeve, and I had to pick a T-shirt and an overshirt. And it was all very samey.
It's to save them doing the makeup on the arms, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep, exactly. That's it feels like it's like from Seattle in the mid-90s, and everyone's listening to Nirvana.
Nirvana playing in the background.
I know I mentioned this when we podcasted about it the first time, but Glenn mentioned Portal. I let that lower me into that well like it was fun, like I was playing Portal. It's a video game. She goes, of course it's a video game. And I just love that because Portal's my favorite game. It had only been out for, I think it had Portal 2 had just come out back then in 2011. But they haven't made a third one. Come on, make a third one.
That's because Glenn's
I never played it. I wonder if it's still worth having a look at it.
You should look. Yeah, it's my all-time favorite. Last of Us is my second favorite game. Portal's first.
Yeah, me too.
I love Last of Us. So when Herschel asked Rick how many walkers he's killed, I wanted him to say, how many people? Why? Because it just made me think. The 3 questions they asked later on. There's some criticism sometimes when characters are only there as a prop in someone else's story. I think Sophia is that, and is that okay?
People being sacrificed for story.
No, where like you say, oh, so-and-so had a girlfriend or a boyfriend only to enhance that one character's story. They weren't characters in and of themselves with their own stories, Like you hear that criticism a lot.
Yeah, because what I liked about this is that it didn't seem... like they said, oh, we're going to have a walk out of the barn, actually, maybe. And then let's work backwards to how that happened. I think that she was a character that was always there, and that this was that events led to events, rather than there was.
Or at least it felt that way, whether they
felt that way. Yeah.
That's
like the scene at the church where they hear the bells ring and they all go running down. That felt like an insert, that felt like then this happened. Oh, then they go to the church and there's zombies sitting in there in the thing. Because how can that happen when that is on a timer? That church would be just surrounded by walkers if it's putting that sound out once a day. But they wanted that scene in there, so that felt like an insert scene.
Contrived, like, kind of. Yeah.
And the Daryl falling down the cliff and getting himself up, that was like, oh, we want to have this moment with him. That it didn't feel like
earned.
It would happen, you know, because it's just like, oh, he's on the skiddy horse, and then he goes riding on his own, because that wouldn't happen, and then and then a snake comes up, and then he falls down the cliff, and then and then he loses his thing, and then the walker comes up.
Over the years, I think there's a lot of that in Walking Dead, where you just feel them riding to the gag kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But this why it felt very earned. I think the moment with Sophia was earned, and the shock on there wasn't. It wasn't manufactured. You really at that moment you realize you actually care about these people. Like, it was so heartbreaking to see Carol come running through and then just break down in Daryl's arms. So I think she's a valid character, and I think this was a result of great writing, which is why it's so memorable.
I think at this stage as well, the show later does a good job of developing child characters and young people characters. But at this point, we just hadn't really had a chance to with Sophia and Carl, because we'd only had 6 episodes with Sophia before she disappears.
Yeah.
So
and Carl, they're doing pretty well with, I would say.
Yeah, Carl said bullshit today.
That's something.
I would say, if we want to talk about kids getting killed for a story, anyway. Moving on, but yes, go ahead, Jason.
Who are you talking about?
I'm thinking about Carl.
And
how stupid that. Anyway, yeah,
that was for
neither for story nor
dispute.
sense.
You know, that's what the one thing I say it over and over. That's one thing that annoys me about this show. Is you need to get some good lawyers. Have this sorted out. Stop having characters get famous from the show and leave, or someone just getting left on the bridge, never to be seen again, or what's his name in the Oceanside?
I mean, back when Michonne left, Denai Guerrera, that was the result of 2 things. One that you mentioned earlier, the show got too afraid to kill people off later on. And then 2 is, she didn't have a solid contract and could leave to go off to do. So then you end up with a really dumb story point where she leaves her child behind. But hopefully the ones who live will be great.
There was a trailer for, was it American Fiction? I can't remember. There was a film we saw a trailer for when we were at the cinema at the weekend. Corey Hawkins is in it, and I was like, oh, it's like, he lives.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great. He's still out there.
He looked just like comic book Heath. And then my last note is just, I was asking myself what might have happened on Herschel's farm if Rick's group never came along. And I was thinking that the zombies would have stayed in the barn, but then the river or magic whatever would have frozen over, and the farm would have been stormed by all of the Zeds. And then
overrun.
Maybe Herschel and his group would not have been as prepared because they wouldn't have had any practice, or just they wouldn't have had the idea that it's kill or be killed by that point, So they might have all just been dead.
No greens.
After that. All right. How about some IMDb deep dive?
Not too much today. I love when they tell you something really obvious. So this week's Captain Obvious is the title comes from Dale and Shane. Shane says he is pretty much dead already to Dale. So in case you missed that.
I mean, talking about built for this world, that's Shane saying you're not built for this world, Dale. He wasn't actually threatening him, I don't think. He was just saying you're not going to last long. And he was right.
Yeah. Absolutely. The 2 zombies in the swamp are a father-daughter stunt performing duo. So they've worked together before. Yeah.
I can't help but think of bad lip reading on that one too. Hey.
Ow. In the comics, Sophia outlives her mother, outlives Carol.
Really?
This is the first child zombie we've seen since Series 1, Episode 1. And an additional fact about Sophia outlives everyone in this episode except Carl. Sophia and
funny.
Carl are still living at the end of the comics. And they have a daughter called Andrea. So it's very nice.
Well, is that wow?
And in our timeline, we are on day 71. So they've been at the farm for roughly 4 days.
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
Yes.
And Shane's
really
like, how many times has Rick saved your life in the last 4 days that he's been conscious?
Yeah, I know. How many times has Rick saved your life in the 10 days since he came back and the 4 days that we've been at the farm and the other times? And she's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. On the plus side, Carl's up and about, so the major surgery clearly went really well. But yeah, that's it from me. That's my my
Nice.
2 bits.
While I'm on, I just to go back to this a bit as a listener, I've been trying to get to. Was Laurie and Shane having an affair before all the zombie apocalypse?
I'm a strong no on this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Jason?
Yeah, I'm most likely no, but I'm like 85%, 90% no.
Yeah, I think there's a slight possibility they might.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
That's what I think. Is that what you think too? Slight possibility, but probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think I told you this, Jonathan, but we've been doing Only on the Walking Dead. So
yes,
Only on the Walking Dead would finding out that a lost little girl that everyone was hoping was still alive was actually a zombie be the thing that hooks all us sick and twisted viewers into loving this show.
Exactly. I feel you need a sting though, like Only on the Walking Dead.
Now we have it. Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Only on The Walking Dead would a rotten egg lead to true love.
I had mine here. Only on The Walking Dead would pool tools come in so handy, and I know that they were. I know that they were cattle wranglers or something, but it just that scene looks so comical to me. Yes. It looks like they all had kind of pool tools and then just taken the netting around and had it around their head.
Oh, and so good.
But I thought that those two zombies, and now it makes so sense that they were actually kind of stunt performers. They were some of the great zombie performers, especially the woman. The growls, and there was a close up of the guy, and he looked so scary. But her taking those shots later on was so visceral, and it was so well acted. I think there were some great zombies, but that was such a comical scene for me with the pool tools.
For a minute when you said that, I was thinking of those big noodles you get for like learning how to swim. The inflatable ones. I was like, that would be hilarious. I love that.
Stick it in their mouths, and
McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some living dead, E-I-E-I-O. With a here, there, everywhere. Old McDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. All right, we're back. It's time for listener moans, groans, and grunts. Brains. Speaking of brains, next week, Lucy and Karen and I are going to be covering Return of the Living Dead, which is the first zombie movie, if I'm right, where they said brains.
I'm excited. I've never seen it, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into some feedback, Jonathan.
Okay. Cindy Barrack. This one should win for best title, smiley face.
Kirsty Keane says, the feeling in the closing moments of this episode, I'll never forget. Pure shock.
Michael Koska says, I enjoyed this show up until this point, and then I quit. No, I'm just kidding. But this moment, Sophia coming out of the barn, is what turned me into a super fan.
Yeah. And hello to Ben Beck, who says, I still don't think there's been a moment in television that has made my heart sink faster and further than Sophia coming out of the barn.
Oh, Ben. Mark McBurney says, loved zombie movies growing up, but I was late to the party and didn't start watching until the Shane/Otis school episode, which I really liked, but the next few years were slow and wasn't sure if I was going to keep watching. Then this happened. So yeah, this was when I was hooked and all in. And Mark McBurney, I really want to know if you're Scottish, because that's a heck of a Scottish name.
Yeah. Mark McBurney.
Mark McBurney.
Mark McBurney. Matt King said, I'd kind of forgotten the exact ending. Like, who was in the barn? No, just kidding. A lot of the episodes and storylines have merged together over the years for me, but that was a real gut punch and couldn't help but tear up a little as Sophia emerged from the barn. John Bernthal knocking it out of the park again this episode. Yeah, it was pretty emotional, even watching it this time for me. I felt a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And John Bernthal was amazing in this, and that, like, it's such a good sign of how good job you're doing when everyone hates you. So.
It is. And I can appreciate his performance more now, because back then I did kind of hate him, but now I'm more removed from it, so I can just appreciate it, I guess.
And we see how everything turns out. So.
Yeah, that too.
All right, so Brad Holt. Hello, Brad. This was the episode that made me crave more content. It was during the hiatus after this episode that I found the Walking Dead cast and the Walker Stalker podcast. There you go. Cool. I think the same for me. I also acquired the first 2 comic book compendiums, flew through them, and began buying the single issues monthly, turning me into a true Zed-head.
Nice. Still my favorite comic, I think, of all time. So good.
Brad, I think you and I have a similar comic book trajectory. I think that was the case for me as well. Gemma Hall, hi Gemma, says, there's walkers in the barn. Oh, and Sophia. This moment will probably live in Walking Dead infamy. And I remember just feeling heartbroken, especially for Carol. It's never easy to watch. The scene is so exceptionally filmed and acted, and the momentum builds so well. Shane is just full throttle, and the Green family look on in horror. Rick has to be the one to kill Sophia, making her the second little girl he's had to put down in a few weeks. Right. I always cry at this scene and episode, but it is outstanding in my opinion. Agree.
I can't believe they had Rick shoot at least one little girl every season. That was so weird. No, I'm just kidding.
Carol takes the mantle though in season 4.
That's right. Yeah, it's like
but she enjoys it.
We are horrible.
She loves
people.
it.
Okay. Laura Willie Swink says, "Yep, this is the episode that truly hooked me in and set up the stakes for the show. And despite the shocker finale, on rewatch, I appreciate all the great character interaction going on in this episode that leads to that pivotal moment." Yeah, me too. Maggie standing up for Glenn to Herschel, Glenn standing up to Maggie and her loving him for it, and Shane going full Shane when he discovers he's going to be a daddy. Yeah. Can we now imagine how that would have been with Shane as Judith's dad? That could have been interesting. I bet she would have turned out different. At this point in the story, Rick still believes in peaceful negotiations. Oh, how that changes in the future.
Doesn't it?
We'll intersperse some calls in here. Here's Steve Brown.
Steve.
Hello, the cast of us. This is Steve, and this is going to be for The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 8. Pretty much dead already. I've already started the episode. I wasn't going to do a live Steve of it, but then I just had to, because Maggie, you're going to waste an egg. You know, that's food. Glenn just said the same thing, waste an egg. I forgot about that. Oh, that's heartbreaking. The way Daryl just walked away from Carol and called her a name. Ooh. And I'm getting choked up by it, because it's just his way of coping with emotions right now is by leaving. Is this before or after Dale has seen Shane point his gun at Rick? I don't remember, but after. He definitely's got a feeling about Shane in this conversation with Andrea. Oh, and Maggie overheard this whole conversation, I'm assuming between Herschel and Rick. Herschel giving them to leave by the end of the week. Wow. Oh, and Rick just told Shane that Lori's pregnant, and I'm sure Shane's thinking that it's his. Ooh, Maggie's picked up the vocabulary, walkers. Jimmy just ran in and said it happened again, and I think there's a walker on the farm, right? So Shane blames Rick for the deaths and says that he saved Lori more times than Rick has, and now this scene between Carl and Shane is just great. Little Carl bowing up to Shane to say we're going to stay. Carol and Daryl still have hope that Sophia's going to be found alive, and here Herschel's trying to convince Rick that these people can be cured. Oh, walkers, I mean. Seeing the beginning of Maggie and Glenn's relationship is so touching. Oops. Shane just found her, Dale. Oh, Shane just at the title of the episode, pretty much dead already. Mic drop. Dale figure out that Shane shot Otis. This is intense, this Shane shouting and these walkers, and I know what's going to happen, but man, it's still intense. I never realized all the bodies fell in just a clear line where there's a path for Sophia to walk through in between two sides. That wasn't quite as clear as I thought, but still, she's walking pretty well. Of course, Rick has to deliver the final bullet that takes out Sophia. Oh, heartbreaking. Talk to you next week.
Oh, Steve, the tone shift there. He's like,
yeah, it's a little drop in tone, wasn't it?
Oh, bless you, Steve.
It's fun to hear live Steves for these early episodes because he didn't start doing that until much later.
Yeah, that's great. Did you ever have him on to discuss his method of the live Steve?
I don't know. That'd be cool.
I always wonder whether he cuts it together later or whether, I guess if it's a live Steve, he's just commenting and recording and stopping.
He keeps them really tight, which is great.
Yeah.
They're really good. I love them. Well done, Steve.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's your turn.
Is that me? Yeah. Shanna. All right, Shanna. This iconic Walking Dead episode tells the complete Greek tragedy of Rick Grimes, a man just trying to find his family and navigate the cruel, disturbing, post-apocalyptic world where the illusion of control will get you killed. The exploration of the farm as a potential moral and physical home for our survivors may have felt long at the time, but it was necessary to lay the foundation of the series. And yes, Jason and Lucy, I was completely shocked, horrified, hooked when this episode first aired. I had no idea Sophia was in the barn. I don't think we used the acronym WTF in 2011, but that's exactly it. WTF. Sophia was in the barn. There was no going back for me after this episode. I believe in Rick Grimes.
That's awesome. I think we did, because I think Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, is older than ours.
Ah, yeah.
So WTF was a thing.
Oh, there you go.
Chandra Wright says, it was tough watching Rick escorting walkers on a stick in an attempt to keep the peace with Herschel. You could feel how it made him appear less capable as a leader, though I'm not sure I agree with that, says Chandra. And why Shane was pissed when he saw it. It was also painful to watch Shane go way too far and cruelly shatter the hope and misguided idealism of the Greens. From Rick pleading with him not to do it, Glenn checking with Maggie before opening fire on her friends and family, it was already a tragic scene. When Sophia shuffled out, squinting from the light, the oxygen felt sucked from the room, and the gravity of what happened was felt immediately. I thought it was a great episode then and now, and a real turning point for the group. Very well put, Chandra. Agree with all of that.
Yep. Rinaldi Cleek says there's an episode of the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will Smith has an emotional outburst scene because his father abandons him for a second time. After the director yelled cut, James Avery, who played Uncle Phil, praised Will, saying, "You did it. You were a real F-bombing actor now. You're going to reach your potential as an actor." That is how I felt about The Walking Dead once this episode ended. Walking Dead, in my opinion, fully reached the potential it showed in the excellent pilot episode with this episode. Everything in this mid-season finale was building up to Sophia's reveal as a walker, and that build-up lasted throughout the episode. Several characters, Rick and Shane in particular, contributed interesting moments, and overall the build-up was well executed. Pun unintentional. That's why this episode is number 8 in my Walking Dead episode rankings. Don't get bit like Sophia did. Yes, I admit I can be terrible sometimes.
Oh.
Number 8.
Ronaldo's the star of the chat, let me tell you.
He won't tell us what his bottom 3 are, Ronaldo. We need to know.
I know, he's really eking it out now. I'm like,
I guess we'll have to find out when we get to them.
All right, Josie Bowen Extol. During my first watch just a few years ago, I had suspected that walkers were in the barn, at least those that related or familiar to Herschel and his crew. But when Sophia came out, I lost it and screamed, "Holy shit," at the TV. My husband, who has seen the series before, laughed and said he had a similar reaction at the time. I just couldn't believe, after all the time and focus on this storyline, that she was there.
Yeah.
I truly expected them to find her somewhere else, and I actually predicted that she would later be discovered with a shady group Randall had been with and be subjected to all that horror. I'm glad they found her in the barn instead. Also, the way Daryl has to hold Carol in this scene kills me. I love their friendship, and this scene means even more to me now with so many years of friendship later. This pivotal moment of Rick having to be the one to put Sophia down is so important because it shows us he really is a true leader of the group, despite what Shane would like to believe. And the discovery that walkers truly aren't people anymore, poor Herschel. Such a great scene. Iconic television.
Oh, so well put.
It's great. Although Josie, you need to tell me how you predicted that Sophia would be discovered with the shady group Randall had been with when Randall hasn't been on the show yet, nor his group. And she's already
Not to call you out.
Come out of the barn. Not to call you out. I'm just curious. Maybe she's a psychic.
Please keep listening.
That was great. Let's see. Here's Dodie.
Hi, this is Dodie from Wells, Maine. This is for season 2, episode 7. What an intense and emotional episode. I think I was really appreciative of one of the few light moments in the episode, the exchange between Maggie and Glenn. Give me your hat. What a great little scene. Just love that. But my main focus in this episode is Shane and his behavior. And I got to ask, what's more dangerous? A barn full of placid walkers well fed on chickens, or an enraged, pathologically possessive man? Some will say that Shane did what had to be done, but did he? Or did he do what best served his narrative of being the only person who could keep his family, Carl and Lori, safe?
Yes.
To further this narrative, he promotes the myth of the one solution. Always beware of that. There's only one way that this can be handled.
Yeah, right.
Anybody who wants to show human compassion and concern is pretty much already dead. So that means Rick is already dead. Dale is already dead. Even Lori and Carl would be already dead if they didn't have him and only him to keep them safe by doing what has to be done. They belong to him. And once Shane knew walkers were in the barn, he starts poking the bear, shaking the doors, triggering the walkers. He ends up creating the danger that he claims he wants to prevent so that he can prove his point and secure his place of leadership. Is that really doing what has to be done? Or were there other choices, other ways to get to the problem? It certainly would have been a lot safer if the family could have been persuaded with more information that it was time to put down these walkers, and they could have been shot safely from the top of the barn. No. Shane didn't do what had to be done. He did what his rage told him to do. He's always operating on a trigger. I think Shane is the most dangerous thing in their world. Anyway, I'm really enjoying your rewatch, and I thank you for having a chance to go back to the beginning and walk through with it with you. So thanks a lot. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dodie.
Thanks, Dodie. That's a very I loved that. It was very intense.
I know.
But
Yeah.
really cool.
She's I think she's not anymore, but she used to be a minister and she's retired. But met her out in Boston.
Her delivery is amazing. I love
She's
it.
great.
Definitely makes you think.
Yeah.
But I think she's absolutely right about Shane. But that's also what makes him so compelling to watch.
Absolutely. If it would have happened the way she suggested, where they would have gone about it all reasonably, then this season would have continued to be a snore fest. But no, that's great. I mean, we always talk about these stories on two different levels. In one sense, where it's how you react to them as real people doing things, and what's the best story. And those are never the same, what you want them to do for the story versus what you would be smart in real life.
Right.
But grounded in reality is great, which
makes
this show.
And there are people like Shane in the real world.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Go to the gym.
That's right.
Gym.
Join a frat. No. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Maria Lawson says, I am perhaps in the minority of those that really liked season 2 the first time I watched it. Possibly because I watched the season on Netflix, so the story didn't seem to drag like I think it may have if watching week to week. I came to The Walking Dead and the podcast later. I think season 4 or 5 was my first live watch season because I don't like scary movies much and didn't realize what the show was truly about. People. The watch I
People. It's about
this people. Watch I I know the show was about people.
Well, this is about people.
People,
right,
yo.
People. It was about people. Sorry, Maria.
It's about people.
It's about
there we go.
People. There we go. We got there. Maria says, this watch, I watched Secrets and this episode back to back, and the tension that starts in Secrets just keeps incrementally climbing throughout this episode. This episode is one of my favorites of the whole series. It has everything. My favourite moments are Maggie having her own opinions aside from her father and calling him out, Herschel being forced to confront the reality that is the new world, Shane being an absolute unhinged dick, and Carol and Daryl sharing in the devastating reveal that Sophia was dead this whole time. This episode still makes me cry no matter how many times I watch it. I'm looking forward to hearing about Jason's experience as a Walker extra in the finale too. Both my husband and I had the opportunity to work as background actors in World Beyond since it filmed not too far from us. Neither of us got to be walkers, so I'd love to know what that was like. Thanks for the rewatch coverage. Thank you, Maria. I'm sorry for murdering your prose.
Maybe you should come on and talk about that sometime,
that
Maria.
Would be great.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Daryl, I forgot to look at Daryl's expression when he first saw Sophia, because he must have been crushed. He's been the one holding out more hope than anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There was that beautiful panning scene, and everyone's gun dropped to their side, their shoulders slumped, and everyone just reacted so badly to that.
Carl smirked, but other than him.
Yeah.
Carl was like,
now I'm number one again.
I'm an only child again. Yeah. Oh, no, my mom's pregnant. Damn it.
God, you win some, you lose. Oh, wow. Dark. Okay. Karen, she says, it's interesting that we still refer to Sophia by name when she comes out of the barn, even when most viewers have aligned with Rick and company believing that the walkers are no longer human and need to be put down. Oh, God. Insightful as ever, Karen. Good point. They're no longer Sean or Mom or Lacey and Duncan, as Maggie called them in the previous episode, though we see a shift in Maggie's beliefs now. When Glenn takes a more diplomatic approach, telling Maggie that they may be dead people or sick people, but they're still dangerous, Shane flat out calls Herschel's Walker neighbors things, and his iconic, why is it still coming if it's alive rant. Isn't it easy to dehumanize who we don't know? It's easy to see monsters of those who aren't our own. This is a good point, Karen, except in this case, they are, in fact,
monsters.
But no, it's still, point stands. Hence, Sophia shuffling out to complicated characters and the audience beliefs. Even Shane, the biggest advocate of dispatching the walkers, can't put her down because he finally stands in Herschel's shoes. And in the clear light of day, Shane lost his humanity long before the barn massacre. So going forward into the season, he's pretty much dead already. Bears music and that panning crane shot across Glenn, Andrea, Shane, and T-Dog as they realize who's come out of the barn. The crescendo to Carol crumpling in Daryl's arms. So devastating. The turning point in this series so far, if there ever was one, The Walking Dead isn't holding anything back. Excited to hear Jonathan guest host with Jason and Lucy. Thanks for the coverage. Yay.
Thanks, Karen.
All right. That was great, Karen. Thank you so much. Always glad when you write in. Here's a call from Archmaester Rennie.
I noticed that there is a lot in this episode about fatherhood and stepfatherhood. Maggie says to Herschel that she was 14 and angry about her mother dying when Herschel married a second wife. And he told her then that Bible quote where Jesus says to love one another. And her implication is that he was a good father figure to her at that time. But you're different now, she says. meaning he's not being a good father figure now. And then Lori says to Shane, even if it's yours, it won't ever be yours, meaning that biology doesn't matter. She and Rick will raise the child. So even if Rick isn't the biological father, he'll be the, quote, real, unquote, father. And then Shane reasserts what a good stepfather he's been to Carl by stopping to talk when Carl calls out to him rather than just continuing to stomp off mad, and by admonishing Carl not to swear, as if that mattered in the ZA. I think the show continues to explore this father figure theme throughout its run, and there are several poignant things that happen, most especially with Herschel giving his watch to Glenn. Interestingly, I don't think there's any real focus on stepmotherhood until the late seasons with Michonne and Judith. One other thing I noticed in this episode is that sharp-eyed watchers of the credits would have realized that Sophia was going to be found one way or another in this episode.
Yes.
Because Madison Lintz's name reappears in those credits after having been absent for several episodes. Oh, finally, wow. I'll say that this is one episode where I was really on Shane's side when I first saw it, and I still am on rewatch. He was right to demonstrate to Herschel that the walkers are actually dead, not sick, brutal as that was. Rick's mollycoddling Herschel's delusive, wishful thinking was more likely to get them killed. All for now.
Wow. Ruthless.
Wow, Archmeister, cold. I like it. I like it.
Love it.
That's great.
Great.
Dina, hello, Jason and Lucy. I watched Pretty Much Dead Already about a year ago and didn't rewatch this week, so the details are fuzzy. But what stood out for me back in 2011 is that it was the first time I really saw Rick as a leader. He struggles in subsequent episodes during the season, but he earned my esteem when he shot Sophia. He and Shane both want what's best for Laurie and Carl, and that means remaining at the farm. Rick chooses respect and cooperation, and Shane chooses all-out rebellion. Both men are somewhat infuriating. Yeah, well, it happens. Rick herding walkers. Number one, Rick herding walkers. I think even he recognizes how absurd it is. Number two, Shane outright disrespecting another man's property. It is no matter that Herschel has deluded himself. It's his land, not Shane's land. Apologies to you, Woody Guthrie. Shane whips most of the group into a bloodthirsty frenzy. Big man with a big gun and a big chest to thump and a small mob behind him. Yet when Sophia growls her way out of the barn, all he can do is stare, dumbstruck and useless. I do believe he's grief-stricken, but so is Rick. In one simple minute, Rick is the only one who decisively steps forward and puts that little girl out of her misery. Maybe he blamed himself, I'm sure he did. The only thing that really matters is that he took responsibility. That's a leader. Other moments that have followed me over the years, Glenn begging Maggie to let him fight, yet fully willing to remain if she said no. Herschel's anguish, Maggie's heartbreak, and Daryl holding Carol's grief. I love how the latter scene plays out again when Carol sees Henry on that spike. There we go. Not a particularly cohesive letter here, but how can one follow the eloquence of that episode? Love to both of you.
Thanks, Dina.
I don't know if I like Rick. I feel like Rick was doing the best he can. I don't remember what convinced Herschel that the zombies were not people anymore. Is it after this episode now he's convinced because Shane shot that one in the chest several times? Maybe
I can't remember the second half, but I would assume this might have an effect on his opinion.
Because
they have a conversation about it in the next episode, I think.
Because I've sided more with Karen, who's saying Rick could have tried to gently more lead Herschel to this so that they could safely shoot the zombies from higher up in the barn versus what Rennie's side more that Shane did the right thing by just kind of abruptly doing it because that's risky. I think that's a risky ploy. What if it didn't work? I don't know if maybe it did work. We'll have to keep watching and find out.
And it's interesting of it's Herschel's farm, it's his property. But is it? I mean, who's going to enforce that? Today we have property laws and police and courts to enforce that if you buy property, it's yours. But
now it's just human decency.
Can you hold it? Yeah. It's your property if you can hold it. And you must defend what's yours with violence if necessary. And that doesn't happen now. But in this situation where law and order no longer exists, it is down to you. And this really does feel like a transitional episode of are we finally leaving the real world behind, the old world behind, and moving into the reality of the situation, because we still have some rules and etiquettes from before the ZA still here.
I mean, to hold a property, you're going to have to defend it against those who would take it from you. But as someone like Rick, if I was Rick, I would not be like, hey, property doesn't matter anymore. We're going to take this place from you, Herschel. I'd be like, hey, I would still try to respect Herschel as the owner of the property and that's maintaining your humanity. But then you've got someone like Shane, whose humanity is slowly leaving him or quickly leaving him, and he's like, well, why are we even asking? Totally. Yeah. All right, one more message.
We have Danielle Dement Yost, who says, wow, this is really such a stellar episode. I had forgotten. Shane just reached the end of his patience with everything and made some big moves. I think another what if episode would definitely have to be Andrea and Shane leading the group as a couple. Oh my god. Oh yes. But also that could be a fierce, if morally questionable group to contend with. I am loving watching Carol and Daryl's friendship really blossom and seeing Maggie and Glenn finally fully embrace their feelings for one another. Shane is desperate for some control at this point. He lost his leadership role when Rick showed up. Why is that anyway? He lost the right to have an opinion on what Laurie and Carl do. He feels controlled by Herschel and Dale and Rick, and Herschel and Dale and Rick, and is dying to take charge of something, anything. He saw a way to get control of the guns and went for it. He knew he could intimidate Dale without actually doing anything. I actually do not think that he would have attacked Dale at this point. I don't think he's quite that far gone yet. But Dale wasn't about to take that chance, understandably. Just to recap.
I agree.
On day 67, they go looking for Sophia, find the church, split up, Carl gets shot, Rick rushes him to Herschel's, Herschel digs a bullet fragment out and explains that he needs more supplies. Otis and Shane leave for the school, find the supplies, Shane shoots Otis, comes back, and Herschel completes the surgery. That was a long day. The biggest suspension of disbelief, however, is that the last episode, Secrets, takes place on day 70, a whole 3 days after Carl has had major surgery in substandard conditions, and he's just chilling, feeding chickens and taking shooting practice. Sure. In response to the conversation about the waste of ammunition during shooting practice, I just think it was an investment in their future safety. Without the training, they'd have a group of people relying on only a few who could shoot. At this point in the ZA, they're still thinking they can find more ammo and they need to learn to protect themselves. Anyway, this was a really fun rewatch, and it took all I had not to watch Nebraska, which is one of my favourite Walking Dead episodes of the whole series. Can't wait for next week. Oh, bad news, Danielle. We'll be waiting a little bit longer than next week. Danielle also says, I've been relishing your friendly voices and time with my comfort TV lately. Thanks as always. Love to you both. Part. Danielle, I give you permission to watch Nebraska, because we're going to be a while.
So we're going to take a break because The Ones Who Live is coming up, the Michonne and Rick series, which we're going to cover. It's not actually out for another month, but we said we were going to take breaks in between and cover movies. So as I said, we're going to do Return of the Living Dead next week, and then we're going to do 1 or 2 episodes leading up to the Rick series, talking about Rick like we did with the Daryl series. And we're going to cover the Rick series, then we'll be back on the rewatch after that.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably say again in the end segment in case anyone didn't hear that. But we have one more call, and that's from Sam.
Oh, Sam, yay.
Hi, it's Sam. I'm so excited you guys got to this episode. I've been waiting for you guys to get to this episode so I can hear what you think about it. This is one of my favorite episodes of The Walking Dead. I know I'm not alone in that. It's so well done. I mean, the opening scene with them calmly eating around the campfire, not unlike myself watching it live as a viewer, turning on AMC. watching it of like, okay, let's ease into the Walking Dead world. And then Glenn drops the bombshell about the walkers in the barn. Of course, the entire group has to go and double check. You know, fact checking is important, even in the zombie apocalypse. And then they confirm it. And then, boom, shit hits the fan. Everyone goes into animal mind, emotion mind, whatever you want to call it. Fight or flight is real with that group in that opening scene. They are, you know, they're saying like, let's go find Sophia. Let's go talk to Herschel. Let's kill the walkers. Let's just leave the barn. Like, everyone is so in their own emotional argument. They're not even trying to understand the other person next to them, which is what happens when your amygdala takes over. So it was so interesting to see, like, fear taking over, the social niceties do fall away, and you just end up being ruled by that emotion brain. And then the credits. And I like how every scene after that, the interactions between the characters are so filled with tension. Whether it's an internal tension or an external tension between two or more characters in the scene, it was interesting to see it build and build and build. And watching it live, I was like, well, this is building towards something. I'm not quite sure what. And then, of course, it's the barn. And Bernthal just did an incredible job. Andrew Lincoln hitting some of those high notes with Herschel, take the stick, or I don't know what you said exactly. And, you know, then they go and they open up fire, just all of them, just shooting the walkers as they come out of the barn. Nice little reminder for me, at least, that they're not the expert sharpshooters that they go on to become. A couple of those walkers did get immediate headshots. Most of them required multiple shots. So it makes sense why they would be so terrified to not want to nap a few yards away from where a whole group of walkers are locked away in kind of a rickety looking barn, I gotta tell you. And then not only that, are they sleeping with the dead a few yards away? Their loved ones are, and they don't have their guns. Like, they are not really good walker killers yet, where they can just use knives all the time. They're not there yet, so they're even more hyped up and afraid. So we see this whole, like, you know, the music builds while they're shooting the walkers, and it's all like, oh, okay, cool. And then there's a lull, and just like every good horror movie, they come back. We're not done. And you hear the music being all creepy, and then it zooms in on Sophia's little feet. It starts to get sad, and you see this horrific bite on her neck because poor Sophia died horribly and alone. And she's been dead for a while. And it zoomed up to her face, and Carol's crying, Carl's crying, everyone's devastated. And then Rick steps forward and shoots Sophia, and I was like, I will follow the show until it's ending. It is phenomenal. It is so good. I know horror movies and TV shows have probably killed kids before. It's not my favorite trope. But I don't remember another TV show or movie that would have me get attached to a little child, a human innocent child, and then to kill her off. And not just kill her off like right in front of us. No. She died horribly, and she's been dead. You could have never saved her characters in the show. Yep. And I just thought that was so innovative and brilliant. And they were letting us know, the writers, that they were saying, like, there's no holds barred. We're going to be as brutal as this reality will be. And they kept their promise. So I'm so excited for this episode, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, agreed.
Great call.
I mean, remember the first shot, or the first thing in the show was Rick shooting a little girl in the head. So they kind of just like, nope, we really mean it here.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, I don't think when I first recorded on this that I said this because I wasn't revealing that I'd been on the show, but I think I've talked about it on the podcast since, but I was spoiled on this when I was an extra.
Right.
They said, oh yeah, Sophia was in the barn. I was like, what? So I kind of feel robbed a little bit of this moment, you know?
Absolutely.
Everybody's talking about what a mind-blowing moment it was, and I didn't get to I kind of had it when I heard, but it's not quite the same, you know.
No,
I remember being
it
like, what?
It was the way it was shot. Everything was it was so hard-hitting. Yeah, you definitely missed out on a great TV moment. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah.
I think you made up for it with your analysis.
It's not fair.
None of us got to sit on stage with all the crew.
Yeah, I know, right?
That kind of makes up for it, huh? All right, that is our show, episode 562. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Jonathan. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, guys. I had a really fun, and great to meet you, Lucy.
Oh, it's so
premiere.
fun. I'm really glad. I hope we get to do this again.
Me too.
Everybody, Andor is the best Star Wars show from Disney. It was up for an Emmy for Best Show. It's fantastic. And Jonathan and James did an amazing job podcasting about that. So if you go to podcastica.com and check out Star Wars TV Cast, you're going to love it. I promise. And season 2 is yet to come.
Yeah. And this show is amazing. It is the best Star Wars that they've produced for Disney Plus, and we love talking about it, and have a listen, but more importantly, just have a watch because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Jonathan adds a lot of Star Wars special effects and really puts a lot into it.
I don't know what you're talking about. And some terrible impressions. That was meant to be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I knew that.
I liked it.
As I mentioned, we're taking a break from the rewatch until after Rick and Michonne, The Ones Who Live. So we'll be covering, next episode will be Return of the Living Dead and also the return of Karen, because she's going to be back to talk about that with me and Lucy.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a couple of prep episodes to get ready for The Ones Who Live, and then we'll get back with the rewatch once that is over.
Yeah, we will. There's a new trailer out, dropped today.
Oh, I'm not watching it.
If you want to write in or leave us a voice message about it, you can find all our contact information at podcastica.com.
And while you're there, please check out some of our other podcasts. If you haven't already, I recommend you go check it out. In addition to Andor that I just mentioned with Jonathan, I think you would really dig Welcome to the Apocalypse, our